every wife, I think, should ask her husband, how often would you like to have sex?
Even after having 6 kids, certain things have not changed. When I say that on a very practical note, what has helped us keep the sex amazing, if you will, or the intimacy intimate, is there have been some things that Joy has been very good at safeguarding, and myself. So, for example, from the very start, Joy said, for her, she must always preserve this sense of mystery, right? She will not change in front of me. She will not use the toilet in front of me. And, she will use the shower, generally speaking, and we don't want to overshare here, it's got to be something where, whoa, it's also mysterious. It's not like we're doing the practical things and we're just changing in front of each other. That is something that we've heard and we now experience can be a killer, because it's not mysterious. It's not exciting to see your spouse. Oh, wow. So that was one.
I won't poop in front of Edric.
Yeah.
Okay?
So she would never do that. She tries to be a lady like that. She won't fart and do these things. So anyway, that's one already. That's one practical thing. The other, and I love that how Joy talks about this, and I'm going to speak on your behalf. She shares, that we are each other's only option for sex. So if that's the case, then she does her part to make sure that she stays as quote unquote attractive or fit as possible, right? So she will make sure she dresses up properly, she works out, she eats well, because we are each other's only option for sex. So that was another very practical thing. She didn't just let herself go and say, wala, mag-asawa na tayo, so as is where is, right? Take me as I am. She really made an effort, and I really appreciated that. That I think helped me as a man, especially. So those would be the two: preserving that sense of mystery and trying to make an effort. She doesn't have to be like, and just make it clear to everybody, I never put the pressure on, you better look this certain way, like how you were before, or, you need to have this certain body or this certain look. I've never put that standard, which is why I'm sharing it, because she imposed that on herself. And I'm saying that I appreciated it, because when I look back all these years, to your question, that mattered, that she made an effort to look as best she could, the way she dressed, the way she exercised and ate properly. So those would be, I think, already the ways that the sex has continued to be intimate, right?
Yeah, and I think that it's important, right, that you always still communicate with each other, have open communication, really enjoy one another, still have romantic encounters with each other that aren't just about sex, the physical part, but building intimacy with each other. And so then the sex becomes a natural part of that.
Especially
so there are times, right, when we're not communicating well, when things aren't okay in our relationship, and then the sex part may suffer. But as long as we're safeguarding also our own relationship with God and our marriage by really spending time with each other, we still have date nights to really connect, then that makes for a more conducive intimacy in the marriage. So I think that's also helped. And I think even when you have 6 kids, we find ways to, there's several rooms in the house, but
on a practical note,
I think that's what you ask.
Space, physical space and all that. But I'm trying to talk about how the intimacy remains intimate, right? How it continues on and it doesn't kind of wane. And those are the reasons why, even if we've had 6 kids, because the tendency is,
how do you keep the romance going? How do you keep the fire and the romance going?
I think that the point really is that's what sex is. At the end of the day, it is an indicator of intimacy. So if we're able to guard intimacy on all levels, for women, it's different. For men, obviously, for us, it's a lot more physical and visual. For them, for Joy, at least what I've seen for ladies, is it's a lot relational, right? So a lot of the buildup. My father-in-law, when he talks about this at retreats, he says, if you want to have sex on Monday, you start on, and if you want to have sex on Sunday, you start on Monday. So in other words, the whole week and everything happening around that is part of the experience. It's not just, hey, let's have sex right now, right? So that's intimacy. It's a large indicator of the relationship, how you're doing, so
we've asked each other also, right? Like, how often is often enough? And I think it's important for a wife, especially, to ask her husband that, because for some husbands it may be different. And every wife, I think, should ask her husband, how often would you like to have sex? And then we just have to do our part to do our best to make ourselves available also. And, you know, I've had to learn that to be more responsive, because sometimes I'm not responsive enough and it hurts Edric's feelings. So I've had to change
Hurt
in
my
that
feeling.
way, or to initiate more, right? Where it's not always you initiating. And remember that talk we heard of Craig Rochelle, where he said, okay, for the men, don't always use the same approach. Like,
He's-
oh,
He's
so
like,
do you wanna, oh,
his
so do
sex,
you wanna,
yeah. His sex tip for guys and girls is very simple. He said the sex tip for the guys is change your approach.
Yeah.
Right? Don't always, oh, tara, let's have sex. Change your approach, right? Make it different, make it for the guys. For the girls, it's
make an approach,
make an
any
approach.
approach.
Any approach.
Make an approach. Any
So-
approach.
So
Well,
anyway,
what
so
do you
that
do,
But
Joy?
I like that.
Huh?
I like what she said. Like I first time I heard that. Like ask your husband how often is often enough.
How often?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if you're not in the mood? Like you said so yourself, you went through medical surgery, you went through surgery, and now it has affected your mood for intimacy, your libido. I mean, how do you manage that as a couple?
You know, it was honestly really hard. I think there was a whole stretch of 2019, right after my surgery, where I was also dealing with some depression because of what happened. And I had a newborn, and, you know, Edric was still the same person he was, still very young and energetic, like a bouncing rabbit. And here I am, like, I really feel like I turned, you know, I turned 20 years older. And so I really prayed. I prayed about it a lot. And I would pray, Lord, you know, really give me the desire to, and you be the one to help us have good sex life. Because remember, God designed sex. And so it's really up to him also to help us when we're struggling in this area. And I just had to frame it properly, that I have to think about, you know, that's what marriage is, right? You think about the needs of your spouse. And love is sacrificial. And there are times when sex for a woman has to be like a form of unconditional love, because maybe you don't feel like it, but it's important to your husband. So yes, you can talk about it. And there have been times where I said, babe, you know, I'm sorry, I'm just so tired, or, you know, I don't feel like it. And then he shows unconditional love to me by also responding with grace and not demanding it. So I think it goes both ways in a healthy marriage, but there are times, of course, where I really have to adjust and say, well, this is how I would like to also show him and respond to him, and let him know that I value him, I appreciate him, and I want to have sex with him. And so I just say, Lord, please help me to really enjoy it also, and help me to be into it. And isn't that the kind of prayer that God would love to answer? Isn't that the kind of prayer that says, you know, whatever you ask for in my name, you will receive? It's one of those prayers. So yeah, I think it's also just realizing that it's my way of also honoring my husband and respecting him and meeting a need in him, that because I don't want him to stumble. I don't want him to, you know, we used to joke about this.
I like how you say him, like third person, like I'm
Yeah,
not
you.
him.
You know, you would tell me after 3 days,
Honor me, honor me.
after 3 days of no sex, how you would start to like find everything that resembles a woman kind of attractive. And so this is how we also have to safeguard our spouses. It's also our way of protecting them from sexual immorality. And it goes both
The Bible
ways.
says that, right?
Yeah.
Protecting
So-
them. Yeah. So
Right? Because if a woman doesn't feel valued, if the husband's not responsive to her, then there's that need, and she's going to want to feel like she's attractive to somebody. And so it puts her also in a position to be tempted. So I think and Edric is very good about being affirming. And I think that's important also as a guy, that you really affirm your spouse. You make them feel like they're attractive, even if they don't always feel like it. Like there are times I really didn't feel like it, but he would, yeah, be very affirming. So
That's one thing I appreciate about you two.
Really? Hindi tayo nakali sa subject.
Oo nga. Hindi, kasi their whole love
Sex.
story is
Yeah,
around
SIM
purity.
101, 102, 103.
Huh?
Sex and marriage 101, 102, 103.
yung mga levels.
anyway, just feel free to edit as you know, of
Yeah.
course you guys can
No,
really
but
short.
this is wonderful because
A lot of
You
people
know,
need to hear.
yeah, it's like a seminar, and sometimes in the seminar you don't hear this. It's just like you're guarded, and so this is. I don't think I'll even edit this.